and welcome to another month in your year of flowers. So yeah, we are really now into spring and our flowers are starting to get their stride, and if I am allowed to say it about our own flowers, I mean, I think this bucket this month is truly magnificent. The colours are so beautiful, the way that they work together, that, you know, you've got some really unusual hellebores and some really beautiful ingredients. So hopefully that is a little taster of what more joy you've got to come for the rest of the year. But it has been quite a cold March, and compared to this time last year, our flowers are further behind. But that doesn't mean to say that we haven't been very busy in the garden. Anna has been busy planting out hardy annuals, transplanting seedlings, and also covering our ranunculus with a mesh to make sure that they're protected, and that when our ranunculus flower, they really are going to be as glorious as they can be. This month I can also finally introduce you to one of my favourite flower arranging bits of equipment, which is this beautiful footed bowl, which again was made by Kate Spence, and a flower frog, which is quite an old-fashioned flower arranging piece of equipment, but is effectively a weighted tool with very sharp pins that you place in the bottom of your bowl, and which will allow you to create sort of an anchor point for a lot of your flowers. And we've also included some chicken wire, which is what we're going to place in the bowl on top of the flower frog, and this gives you a really lovely bit of stability. So this is a very nice, sustainable, reusable method, which is good for the planet. So you're just going to tuck the chicken wire in, so it creates quite a nice sort of dome effect over the edge of the bowl, and then your Kenzan will be in there. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly central. Mine's sort of moved away from the middle, but that's not a problem. And so the flowers, when I normally do a vase arrangement and I put my foliage in first and they create this framework, because when you do a bowl arrangement the stems are shorter and you want them to kind of be at even more jaunty angles than normal, the chicken wire creates that structural framework for you, which allows you to have a much more open arrangement in the bowl. So as with all my arrangements, I fill it all the way to the top. This is particularly important in this kind of flower arranging as well, because I will be placing flowers in at quite shallow angles, quite horizontal angles, so you just always want to make sure that every tip of stem is in the water, and it, you know, it isn't a lot of water for the volume of flowers that you'll put in, so you really will need to make sure, stick your finger in and see where the water level is every day and just top it up. So as with all of my bowl arrangements, all of my arrangements, I start with foliage often, because it just gives you a nice kind of form and structure to work on. But I'm going to keep my foliage quite short, and I'm going to try and keep it quite light. But again, as with all my arrangements, I have no idea what this is going to look like. I'm just going to go with it and let the flowers kind of do their thing. So I do often start working with something like a fern, just to kind of give that nice open shape. And you're going to thread through the chicken wire and just gently push it onto the pin, and it will just hold itself exactly in the position that you want it to. You are encouraged to go as wild or as restrained as you wish. And there's also these really lovely euphorbias, which have just got such incredible shape and almost like mathematical shapes around them, which I just think lend themselves so beautifully to this kind of sort of quite open vase arrangement. They do contain a sap, which when I cut you'll see, and we talked about this is the same with the Wolfenii euphorbia that we used last time, and that can be toxic in the vase. If you cut them, then I encourage you to sear them with boiling water, again like I showed in the last month's video. So it's releasing a milky sap into the water, which inhibits the other flowers from drinking, so then it just shortens the lifespan of your vase. It gives a kind of white residue onto the edge of the onto the top of the water, and it can be a bit toxic or irritable on your skin, so do try to be mindful as you are working with them, just to avoid getting the sap onto your hands. We also have this lovely pussy willow, which is developing in bud and is going from that lovely soft furry kind of velvety bud that they were in when they're fresh, when they're young. So it goes from this gorgeous kind of velvety bud into this lovely sort of yellow pom-pom, which I totally dig. And it just works so nicely with the colour palette that we've got, that kind of milky grey through to the lovely kind of vibrant yellow. So definitely including this. So it's one of the lovely things about working with the seasons like this. You kind of get to use the materials as they develop. And as they change, and it's just really fun using them at different points of their life. Not everything needs to be anchored to the flower frog. That's kind of not the purpose of its positioning in the vase. It's there to kind of anchor the main structural pieces, and then you can rely more strongly on the chicken wire as you're kind of weaving in. So we've got the first of the wallflowers going in, and I never like to talk about flowers being sort of secondary. But in an arrangement like this, I kind of tend to think of having focal flowers and almost sort of filling flowers, or structural flowers. And in this case, I feel like my wallflowers are going to provide that, and I'm going to let them sink in quite deep into the arrangement, because I love playing with these sorts of heights, and they will kind of cover a multitude of sins with the chicken wire, but they're also going to provide texture below, but they are not my kind of showstoppers. They're going to come in the form of the hellebores and the other more delicate bits. So once you've kind of got like an initial structure with your foliage and kind of filler flowers, wallflower, at that point is when I start to kind of introduce my more focal flowers, which in this case are going to be the hellebores, like that beauty. And then I will once I've kind of created that layer, I'll go in and add in these kind of gestural flowers, the kind of the wispy ones, which will create that really lovely movement. So I'm just kind of looking at my vase, sort of looking at where there might be some gaps, and then obviously trying to fill those, but not being too obsessed with hiding the chicken wire, thinking, oh, I must cover the chicken wire, I must not let that be seen. If you do that, you end up with a very, very tight arrangement. Actually, the way to do it is ignore the chicken wire and be thinking about bringing your flowers forwards, and that draws the eye away from the chicken wire and allows you to kind of, the chicken wire then just disappears into the background. The more you kind of worry about it and try and cover it, the more stiff the arrangement feels. Just turn that around so you can see it from the front. I am doing this as a forward facing arrangement, but that can sort of make people think, right, I've just got to concentrate on the front. Do not neglect the behind, because actually if you do flower arranging on the back side, even though that's against the wall, it creates just a completely different sort of field of depth and texture to the arrangement. So often I will still arrange the back as though someone was going to see it, not as full as I would the front, but it just means that it just completely transforms the front side of the vase if it does feel that the back has been arranged. Just going to start now introducing some of the kind of more gestural flowers, just to create a little bit more interest and to sort of bridge the link between my slightly more expansive flowers and the ones that are, you know, deeper within the vase. Just this gorgeous clematis apple blossom, it's so pretty. But these are the ones that, you know, I kind of call the dancers. I just love, I don't think an arrangement is right without these kind of things in. They just, I think, it's what makes the arrangement sing. It's just the little delicate flowers that kind of float around the big ones. Particularly feeling the blue of the muscari against all the kind of reds and pinks and yellows. And they're so light, they just kind of, you know, weave through the other flowers. And again, you know, the arrangement is as much forward as it is to the sides, that kind of the depth kind of from out here all the way to, you know, it's a good 15 centimetres from sort of this flower to this one. Be thinking about playing with different depths. And you know, this kind of arranging is just amazing for garden flowers, because you can take something that is so short stemmed, you know, which you would never get in a traditional florist bunch of flowers because it's not long enough. But even though it's only, you know, 10-15 centimetres long, it has such a place in these kind of arrangements. You know, it can just hook itself onto the chicken wire and just spill out of a bowl. And I love a tulip. You've got the very, very first tulips coming, these gorgeous kind of like creamy on the outside, and then they're like egg yellow with black stripes on the inside. It's just excellent. And I really love a tulip in arrangement because they go completely rogue. They've got, you know, a mind of their own in terms of how sort of ziggy-zaggy they grow. So I think I'm coming to the end. Just gonna place a couple more stems in, not for any other reason, probably that I'm just over tinkering now. But just one more thing there, because I can see a bit of chicken wire, so I'm just going to sink this hellebore down into that space. Right, I think I'm done now. So if this is your first time arranging with a bowl and a Kenzan and chicken wire, I really hope you enjoy it, and I really encourage you to use all the flowers that we've got, cut them to different lengths, and just have a real play. As ever, please do share with us what you do. It brings us so much joy to see you creating with our flowers. And yeah, I hope you enjoy your flowers this month.